What up, cyber friends? So, welcome to the Q&A with your one and only, yours truly, Jacob Dawson. Let's begin. We got a lot to get through. We had over 100 questions. I'm obviously not going to answer them all because that would take a very, very, very long time. But I selected my favorite and I'll answer those. Here we go. Alright, let's get the show on the road. So let's begin with the Instagram questions. How do you handle insecurities and doubtfulness when studying and doing design as a student? I think you've got to accept that you don't know everything. You're a student. This is your beginning. So as a student, you've got to kind of have the mindset of exploration. It is okay to make mistakes. And once you realize that it is okay to make mistakes and that as a student, this is the time where you're supposed to make as many mistakes as possible, that sort of frees you and you sort of stop worrying about all the mistakes you make because you're supposed to make mistakes. Yeah. Okay, here's a good one. What is the best way to become famous in the design industry? There are really no right or wrongs to that answer. I'm banking on becoming famous through YouTube, which I don't think has been done before. So that's kind of cool. So vlogging, there you go, that's one way. Another way, it's kind of, with every designer who sort of has made it, they always have this one defining point. Whether it's a product that gets exceptional publicity or whatever, there's always this one point that they can point back to that launched their career. But before doing any of that, they've been in hours and hours of work. So really it's doing your work, but doing it in the open. Always showing your work. If you get into a habit of having a blog or an Instagram or some sort of form online of always showing your work, people will find you. And it's just a matter of time until the right person finds you, and it's sort of, you get one project out there and it becomes a cascading effect. One project will lead to another project and so on and so forth. And with each project you do, your fame goes. And yeah. Did you always want to become a designer? Also, will you marry me, please? To answer your first question, did I always want to become a product designer? No. I actually, when I first decided I wanted to become something, I wanted to become a vet. And your proposal of marriage. How much money you got? Now we switch over to a YouTube where there were a lot of questions. Oh, another question that nobody asked is, how did I come up with the name Mirren? Does it mean anything? How'd you come up with the name? Let me tell you the ancient story of the name Mirren. It all began with illustration. So before I wanted to become an industrial designer, I was seriously thinking about becoming a illustrator, and especially specializing in character design. So when I was going down that road, I had two characters I liked to draw. I had a girl called Madeline and a guy called Mirren. This swashbuckling white-haired dude, that be Mirren. So it was for a fantasy graphic novel I was thinking about illustrating. There's Mirren, there's Madeline, and there's some other random characters. But yeah, so there's absolutely no hidden meaning behind the name. It's just something that I thought sounded cool, and I just carried it across. Whether that was good marketing or not, I'm not sure. Probably not. It's a question. Are you single? Currently, yes, I am single. Next question. Would you prefer to work in a company or as a freelancer? And who do you look up to in the industry? I'll answer those two. So, if it was like freelance design work for companies, or opposed to working for a really cool company like Google, Apple or something, I would have to go for working for a company. Because where I want to be is, I want to be on the cutting edge of innovation. That's sort of the area I want to work in, the tech. The really new emerging tech industry. That's where I want to be. So for that to happen, you normally have to work for a company, and normally quite a big company. So working for a company is what I want to do. Now, as for who I look up to in the industry, not a person, but I am so impressed with the X company, which used to be called Google X. It's Google's moonshot factory, which basically means it's their little lab which go out and see if they can make crazy, absolutely crazy ideas happen. It's the place that actually invented the self-driving car and the balloon-powered Wi-Fi system for global Wi-Fi. They do some incredible work, and if I was an engineer, that would be a company I would love to work for, because they're just so exciting. If you had to eat the same breakfast every day for the rest of your life, what would it be? The dreams and hopes of small children. Okay, here's a good one. What happened to Mirren? And will you make it a thing again? Okay, so for you who don't know, Mirren was the startup that I worked on a couple years ago that failed. Kind of sad story, but it was kind of a cool product. And if you want to check it out, I think it's the first video on my YouTube channel. So Mirren was this idea of being able to keep photos and videos within real life keepsakes. Will you hear from it again? Probably not, because a lot of the technology is more or less kind of steered away from NFC and has gone down the QR code track, so it wouldn't thrive in today's market as like I hoped it would. Which is sad, but you know, live and learn, people. There's nothing wrong with failure. Something wrong with not trying. Sweet nectar of life. Next question. Hey, what design books do you recommend? Quite a few, but I'm gonna recommend just one. It's called Makers, The New Industrial Revolution by Chris Anderson. This is all about the maker movement, and I am a huge fan of this, and I wrote a couple essays in university on the subject, and this is a very, very exciting book to read, and I highly encourage every industrial designer to read it, because it will sort of broaden your idea of what you can do, and that you don't have to work for a big corporation to actually design products. I found it very exciting. What were your hardest subjects in uni, and what were the easiest? So, confession time, people, I still find CAD, computer-aided design, pretty difficult to work with. I'm getting better, which is a good thing, but it's still freaking hard. CAD is my weak point as a designer. Drawing, CAD, So I'm working on that. Easiest part, I found the theory quite easy. Theory's fun. I enjoyed the theory. Okay, so this is a question referring not to design, but art. How long do you draw? Where did you learn to draw, and how long do you need to find your style? And what kind of style did you experiment with before you found your own? And this is in regards to art drawing. Let's go through my art book, people. Okay, so here we go. So this is just experimenting with my hand. Yay. So this is kind of my evolution of drawing terrible, terrible people right here. And then I started experimenting with animals, a bit of watercolors. I like watercolor and pen, that seems to be doing it. But I did animals. Lots and lots of animals for a while. Lots and lots and lots and lots. And I did a bit of scenery, which was kind of fun, but a bit annoying. First one I did. Okay, this is where my styling started to really take off, where I found what I really, really enjoyed with art. This is Anna from Frozen, as you can probably see. This is a little caricature that mostly I copied. But from copying that, I found this sort of style that was quick to draw and it was super, super expressive. And I found that really, really cool. So once I'd drawn that, I started getting into character design. Oh, there's Elsa, not a very good Elsa. What I really liked is what's called Disney style. Basically what it is big head, big eyes, small lips, small nose, and thin waist. That's kind of the classic Disney design. And I just really, really started enjoying just doing caricatures in that sort of style. And from doing a lot of them, I started to get quite good. So here's the beginning of my characters. This is the first iteration of Mirren, and this was the first iteration of Madeline. Second iteration of Madeline. Yeah, there's another iteration of who Mirren is. Yeah. There's Mirren again. So you kind of just start by drawing, and then you kind of figure out one kind of drawing that really, really excites you. For me, that was stylized caricatures. Now my style has kind of evolved from there, and I do a whole lot more of other stuff. There you go, my short history in me art. Oh yeah. During my first year of product design, I just felt burnt out. So I dropped out in the second half. I couldn't put in 110% effort in all my projects and drawings. It was more like 60 to 70%. How do you remain motivated, or was product design never meant for me? Golly, this is a really, really good question. And thank you so much for posting this question and being brave enough to post this question, because I think it's a subject that's not talked about enough because it's sort of seen as a baddie. So I had a friend in semester 1, but he sort of realized midway through his first semester that industrial design wasn't for him, and he was feeling so burnt out and he wasn't coping with it. And that is 100% fine. It is 100% fine to drop out of a course if it's something you see yourself not doing. That's smart. What is not smart is continuing a course when you know it's not what you want to do. That is dumb, because you're wasting time and money on something that you never want to use. What I recommend you to do is look at what you did in product design. Think about the areas that you did enjoy and the parts that you really, really didn't enjoy. If, for example, it was you enjoyed the technical side, maybe you really, really enjoyed the CAD and that sort of side, then maybe look into engineering. Look into that sort of more technical side of things. However, if you hated the technical side and enjoyed the creative side, the other thing that you could look at is graphic design. That is way more into the creative's colors and things like that. So it's sort of like graphic design here, product design here, engineering here. Love technical, go that way. Love more creative, go that way. I think the best advice I ever got when I was had no idea what I wanted to do, I can't remember where I heard it, but she said, follow your curiosities and you will find your passion. So what this means is just go out and look at things that pique your interest. What's something? It could be anything. Follow that for a bit, and then the more you follow those things, you will eventually find your purpose and your dream. So follow your curiosities, people, if you don't know what you want to do. Final question. And since nobody asked, how was homeschooling? So for me, I found homeschooling great. And for those of you who don't know what homeschooling is basically doing your school at home. So for kindergarten stage and mid-school and those sort of areas from 6 to 13, my mum, she homeschooled a lot of us and came up with the curriculum herself, which was really, really nice. But when we did high school, we went to an NCA level curriculum and we still did it at home, but of course it was all verified and proper and everything like that. So I think homeschooling was great, especially for me as a kid, because I very much struggled as a kid with dyslexia. And that is, dyslexia is when you can't read good. You can't form words. Like for example, you see words on a page, and you have so much trouble forming those words in your head. It is a very horrible thing, and if there are any other people out there who have struggled with dyslexia, I very much know what you're going through. It sucks. But you do get over it. I didn't fully learn to read till I was 16, so it affected me for a very long time, but I'm fine now. I read all the time now. It's great. I love reading. But going through that in the school time, if I had gone through normal school, it would have held me back, and I would have been classed as a dummy kid. Because it would have required a whole lot of special learning, and it would have held me back in school and held me back in grades, and who knows what that would have done to my self-esteem. So for that reason alone, I think homeschooling was really, really good for me. A lot of people have bad ideas of homeschooling, that we are under-socialized people, but honestly we're not. Especially our family, we did a lot of cool social things with a whole lot of other homeschool families, and yeah, I thought it was great. I recommend it. I mean, I turned out alright. right? Right? And that concludes the Q&A with Jacob Dawson. And I will see you, as always, focus on my face, in my next video. Bye guys. Until then.